Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from looking at something old in a totally new way. What if a simple, everyday heart test could suddenly reveal a whole lot more than we ever thought? Today, we're diving into a hidden clue, a tiny detail in the ECG that has the power to totally change how we spot a really serious heart condition called atrial fibrillation.
And that really is the huge question, isn't it? I mean, think about it. An ECG, an electrocardiogram, is one of the most common tests out there. So making it more accurate? That's not just some tiny little improvement. No, this is a game changer. It's a fundamental shift that could literally save lives, cut down on all that unnecessary anxiety, and make our healthcare system way more efficient. So let's get into how it all works.
Okay, so the condition we're zeroing in on is called atrial fibrillation, or AF for short. Now, what is it? Well, it's basically a chaotic, super irregular heartbeat. The top parts of the heart, the atria, they start quivering instead of beating properly. And that's really bad news because it can lead to some devastating stuff. We're talking blood clots, stroke, even heart failure. So you can see why catching this thing early is an absolute race against time.
But here's the thing. There's a huge problem with the way we've been looking for AF for years. It all comes down to accuracy, or maybe a lack of it. Specifically, we're talking about the challenge of the false alarm. So for decades, when doctors looked for AF on an ECG, they were hunting for two classic signs. First, a really irregular rhythm. You can actually see it in the uneven spacing between those big spikes. And second, they'd look for a missing P wave. That's that little bump that's supposed to come right before the main spike, and it basically signals a nice normal beat. And that two-step check, that was the gold standard for years and years.
But what happens when some other, totally harmless heart rhythm happens to look just like that? Well, that's the whole problem, isn't it? It leads to a ton of false alarms, where the test flags AF in a heart that's actually perfectly fine.
And just how often are we talking? Well, get this. For every 1,000 people screened with just that old method, a whopping 87 of them get a false positive. 87. That's 87 people being told they might have a serious condition, which you can imagine kicks off a whole lot of unnecessary stress and a whole bunch of follow-up tests they never even needed.
Okay, but what if there was a third clue? Something we've been missing this whole time. Something that was hiding right there in plain sight. This is where our story gets really interesting. We're talking about a new discovery that looks way deeper than just the timing of the beat.
So, this new clue is called QRS voltage variability. Yeah, I know, it's a bit of a mouthful, but just forget the fancy name for a minute. The actual idea behind it is so simple, so elegant, and just incredibly powerful.
Because here's the key. It's not just about when the heart beats, it's also about how strongly it beats. Think of it like this. It's like a drummer. The old method was only listening to the rhythm, the timing of the drum beats. But this new method, it listens to the timing and the force of each and every hit. It's a whole new dimension.
And here's what that actually looks like. This Shora AF sign, as it's called, zeroes in on the height of those sharp peaks you see on the ECG. If you look closely, you'll see they aren't just irregularly timed. Their heights are all over the place. Some are tall, some are short. That change in electrical strength from one beat to the next, that's the powerful new signal. It shows us how the heart's main chambers are contracting with totally inconsistent force, which is a classic sign of AF.
So the big question is, does adding this one little thing actually make a difference? Oh yeah, the proof is right here in the numbers. And when you put the old method head-to-head with this new combined approach, well, the results are pretty staggering. This chart just shows it perfectly. We're looking at something called an AUC score, basically a report card for a medical test, where 1.0 is a perfect A+. The old method? It gets a 0.87, which is, it's pretty good. But when you add in the Shora AF sign, that score skyrockets to 0.96. And let me tell you, in the world of medical testing, a jump like that is absolutely massive.
But let's put that into real-world terms. What does this mean for actual patients? Okay, imagine you screen 1,000 people. This new combined approach, it finds 25 more real cases of AF. That's huge. But even more impressive, it chops the number of false positives by more than half, from 87 all the way down to just 42. And it means we miss fewer cases, dropping from 18 down to only 7. I mean, it is just a win-win-win. More accurate, fewer false alarms, and fewer people slipping through the cracks.
So let's step away from the pure stats for a second. What's the real-world impact here? Like, what does this actually mean for doctors? And more importantly, for you or me sitting in that exam room?
Well, for starters, it means a 48% drop in false positives. Think about that. That's nearly half of those terrifying phone calls that cause so much stress. It's half of the follow-up tests that turn out to be totally unnecessary. We can avoid all of that just by adding this one simple measurement.
And it gets even better. For people who have a perfectly normal, healthy heartbeat, what doctors call a sinus rhythm, this new method causes a 53% drop in false alarms. I mean, that's fantastic. It means healthy people are way, way less likely to get a scary misdiagnosis.
And of course, this incredible accuracy has a huge impact on the wallet too, right? Fewer false alarms means fewer unnecessary tests, fewer extra appointments, fewer procedures. The cost savings are estimated to be over $28,000 for every 1,000 people screened. That's a big deal.
So, when you zoom out and look at the whole picture, it's just crystal clear. This isn't some small, incremental improvement. This is about getting the right diagnosis to the right person faster than ever and making the whole healthcare system more efficient at the same time. It's a huge win for patients, a win for doctors, and a win for hospitals.
And that's really the beauty of this whole story. The Shora AF sign is all about elegant simplicity. We're not talking about some fancy new machine. We're just looking at the exact same ECG data we've always had, but in a slightly different, much smarter way. And the result? It's revolutionary. It's an upgrade that requires zero new equipment, just a fresh set of eyes on the data.
And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a clue this powerful was just hiding in a simple heartbeat tracing this whole time, just waiting for someone to look at it differently, what other life-saving secrets are buried in all the medical data we're already collecting every single day?